Director Kira Patel stood at the reinforced window of Titan Base, Saturn's ring stretching across the dark sky above her. The quantum detection grid had picked up the first signals 3 days ago, a massive fleet approaching from the direction of Proxima Centauri. After centuries of preparation, humanity's greatest test was about to begin. Fleet composition analysis complete, Director, announced Commander David Walsh, his holographic avatar materializing beside her. 217 capital ships, over 1,000 support vessels. Energy signatures match the galactic dominion patterns we intercepted from the Epsilon probe. Kira nodded, her expression remaining neutral. The Dominion, self-proclaimed rulers of over 10,000 worlds, had finally found Earth. Just as the precursor archives had warned they would. Execute Protocol Omega, she commanded. Begin shutdown of all quantum facilities outside the Soul Cloak. Let's show our visitors exactly what they expect to see, a primitive world just beginning to reach for the stars. Across the solar system, humanity's most advanced facilities powered down or activated their quantum camouflage systems. Massive shipyards around Jupiter disappeared behind false sensor readings. The antimatter production facilities on Mercury vanished beneath holographic masks showing simple mining operations. Titan Base itself, home to the Earth Defense Force's primary command center, transformed its external appearance into a modest research station. The Dominion's advanced scouts entered the solar system 3 days later. Their sleek vessels, gleaming with purple-tinted metal, decelerated near Neptune. Earth's public channels buzzed with manufactured panic and confusion, while hidden quantum sensors analyzed every detail of the alien ships. Admiral Marcus Rodriguez, watching from Luna Command, allowed himself a small smile. Their shield harmonics haven't changed in the last century. The precursor's intelligence is still good. The Dominion ships moved methodically through the solar system, scanning each planet. Their sensors, considered the height of technological achievement in most of the galaxy, were nevertheless blind to humanity's true capabilities. Where they looked for radio waves, humanity used quantum entanglement. Where they scanned for fusion power, Earth's antimatter reactors hummed silently behind perfect camouflage. First contact occurred exactly as the Defense Council had planned. The Dominion's diplomatic vessel landed outside the United Nations complex in Geneva, their delegation emerging with the practiced confidence of those who had performed this ceremony 1,000 times before. High Chancellor Venn of the Dominion stood nearly 8 feet tall, his iridescent scales shifting color in Earth's sunlight. His translator device activated as he addressed the assembled human leaders. People of Earth, he announced, his tone carrying that peculiar mix of condescension and false benevolence that the precursor archives had described perfectly. The Galactic Dominion welcomes you into the light of civilization. Your world has shown remarkable progress, achieving basic spaceflight and preliminary atomic fusion. You are now ready to join the greater galactic community. UN Secretary-General Isabella Torres played her role perfectly, mixing appropriate awe with just a touch of nervous excitement. We are honored by your presence, High Chancellor. Humanity has long wondered if we were alone in the universe. As the diplomatic dance continued, Director Patel received a priority message from the quantum defense grid. The Dominion's diplomatic vessel was actively scanning Earth's defense capabilities, mapping population centers, and analyzing resource deposits. Just as expected. Let them look, she sub-vocalized to her neural link. Show them exactly what they want to see. The Dominion scans found exactly what Earth wanted them to find, a handful of primitive orbital stations, basic fusion reactors, and military capabilities limited to chemical rockets and nuclear weapons. High Chancellor Venn's satisfied expression told Kira everything she needed to know. The Dominion believed they had found another easy conquest. As the first day of contact drew to a close, Venn delivered the expected announcement. We will return tomorrow to discuss the terms of Earth's integration into the Dominion. Rest assured, your world will benefit greatly from our guidance. After the Dominion delegation departed, the Defense Council convened in their quantum-shielded chamber beneath the Himalayas. The room was silent as Director Patel addressed the assembled leaders. The precursors were right about everything, she said. The Dominion follows the same pattern they've used for 10,000 years. Tomorrow they'll return with their demands: 40% of all resources, military occupation of key points, and the gradual stripping of Earth's sovereignty. Admiral Rodriguez's hologram nodded. And when we refuse? Then we finally show them why the precursors chose humanity as their heirs, Kira replied, bringing up a holographic display of Earth's true military capabilities. The greatest trap in galactic history is about to be sprung. As night fell over Geneva, the Dominion's diplomatic vessel orbited Earth, its crew confident in their assessment of humanity's primitive status. They never detected the quantum surveillance particles monitoring their every communication, never realized that the supposedly primitive humans had already cracked their encryption, and never suspected that Earth had spent the last century preparing for this exact moment. Tomorrow, the Dominion would learn that they had made a terrible mistake. They thought they had found another primitive world to add to their collection. Instead, they had stumbled into the carefully prepared killing ground of a civilization that had inherited the legacy of the most advanced species the galaxy had ever known. Earth was ready. The trap was set. And the Dominion was about to learn why the precursors had chosen humanity as their successors. The morning sun cast long shadows across the Geneva Peace Gardens as High Chancellor Venn strode into the United Nations Assembly Hall, his escort of Dominion officers flanking him like polished statues. The assembled human leaders noticed how their diplomatic guards carried weapons that hadn't been present the day before. Director Patel, seated in the observers' gallery, kept her expression carefully neutral as her neural implant fed her real-time data from Earth's quantum sensors. The Dominion had positioned 3 battle cruisers in high orbit during the night, no doubt intended to add weight to today's negotiations. People of Earth, Venn began, his translator giving his voice an artificial warmth, the Dominion has assessed your world's development and potential. We are prepared to offer you the privilege of joining our great civilization. Secretary General Torres, still playing the role of an awed primitive leader, nodded respectfully. We are honored, High Chancellor. What would this membership entail? Venn's scales shifted to a deep purple of authority as he activated a holographic display. The terms are most generous. The Dominion will establish protectorate bases on your moon and major orbital positions. We will guide your technological development, ensuring you advance along approved paths. In exchange, we require only a reasonable contribution to the Dominion's resource needs. Admiral Rodriguez's voice came through Kira's secure link. They've moved their fleet into strike positions. Standard Dominion subjugation formation. 40% of all planetary resources, Venn continued, including rare earth elements, fissile materials, and biological compounds. Additionally, we will need to establish security centers in each of your major population zones to ensure peaceful integration. The room erupted in carefully orchestrated protests. Earth's leaders had rehearsed this moment for years, each playing their part perfectly. Some demanded time to consider, others expressed outrage, while a carefully selected few demonstrated immediate submission. Venn raised a hand for silence, his scales now pulsing with hints of red. Perhaps I should be more clear. These terms are not a request. The Dominion has brought order to 10,000 worlds. We have encountered many young species who initially failed to grasp the honor being offered to them. All eventually understood. The subtle threat hung in the air as Venn's guards shifted their stances, hands moving closer to their weapons. On cue, the massive view screens in the assembly hall activated, showing the Dominion warships in orbit. A demonstration of power meant to cow the primitive humans. You have one planetary rotation to accept these terms, Venn declared. The Dominion's patience is not unlimited. As the Dominion delegation departed, the real discussion began in quantum-secured chambers around the world. Director Patel sat at the head of the Defense Council table, surrounded by holographic representations of Earth's military leadership. All Dominion communications have been intercepted and decoded, reported General Yulia Volkov, her avatar showing her at the Lunar Command Center. They're following the standard conquest playbook. If we refuse, they'll launch a limited demonstration strike at a major city to force compliance. Admiral Rodriguez's hologram nodded. They've already selected Shanghai as the target. Predictable, it's our largest population center. Status of our defense grid? Kira asked, reviewing the streams of data flowing through her neural link. Shield generators are charged and masked, Yulia confirmed. Quantum weapon platforms are online but dormant. The Soul Cloak is maintaining our primitive appearance. We can have full defensive capabilities online in 30 seconds. Kira stood, facing the assembled leaders of humanity's hidden might. The precursors chose us for a reason. They saw in humanity what the Dominion never could, the potential to break their cycle of conquest. For a century, we've prepared for this moment. The Dominion believes they're springing a trap on us. They don't realize they're the ones being trapped. In orbit, the Dominion warships maintained their threatening positions, their crews confident in their overwhelming technological superiority. They never detected the quantum fields surrounding their ships, never noticed the invisible web of weaponry that could tear them apart in seconds. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Earth's most advanced AI systems continued analyzing every detail of the Dominion's ships, updating firing solutions and calculating shield frequencies. The Precursors' greatest weapons, entrusted to humanity a century ago, waited silently for activation. As night fell over Geneva, Ven received reports from his survey teams. They painted a picture he had seen countless times before, a primitive world ripe for conquest, its people divided and technologically inferior. Earth's hidden military bases had been found exactly where expected, their capabilities assessed as pathetically inadequate. The next morning, Ven would return for Earth's surrender. The Dominion had conquered thousands of worlds this way. Resistance was rare, and futile when it occurred. Their technological superiority was absolute. But in her command center, Director Patel smiled as she reviewed the final defense preparations. Tomorrow, the Dominion would learn why the Precursors had hidden their greatest achievements on this seemingly primitive world. Tomorrow, humanity would show the galaxy that the age of conquest was over. The trap was nearly ready to spring. Earth's patience, like its hidden strength, was about to be revealed. And the Dominion was about to learn that they weren't the hunters they believed themselves to be, they were the prey. High Chancellor Ven's return to the UN Assembly Hall carried all the ceremony of an executioner approaching the block. His scales rippled with barely contained irritation. The humans had requested a final presentation before giving their answer. Such theatrical delays were common among primitive species, a last grasp at dignity before inevitable submission. Your time has expired, Ven announced. What is Earth's response to the Dominion's generous offer? Director Patel stepped forward, replacing Secretary General Torres at the podium. Her simple black uniform bore no insignia, no rank markers, nothing to suggest she was anything more than another minor official. The quantum computational core in her neural implant registered the Dominion's weapon systems powering up in orbit. Right on schedule. High Chancellor, Kira began, her voice carrying none of the previous day's artificial deference. Humanity has carefully considered your offer of conquest disguised as protection. We've analyzed your fleet positions, decoded your encrypted communications, and studied the weaknesses in your shield harmonics. Ven's scales flashed brilliant red. How dare dash? We've had a century to prepare for this moment, Kira continued, speaking over him. The Precursors chose their successors well. The word precursors hit Ven like a physical blow. His scales drained to pale white as the implications hit him. Impossible. The precursors vanished 50,000 years ago. This is a primitive world, you cannot dash. Kira raised her hand, and the assembly hall's holographic systems, far more advanced than anything the Dominion possessed, activated. The air filled with detailed schematics of every ship in the Dominion fleet, their weaknesses highlighted in pulsing red. Humanity has a counteroffer, she stated. The Dominion fleet will withdraw from the Sol system immediately. You will acknowledge Earth's sovereignty and our control of all territory within 10 light-years of our star. Any violation of these terms will be met with immediate military response. Laughter erupted from Ven's guards, but the High Chancellor himself remained deathly still. He had seen enough primitive species to recognize confident bluffing. This was something else. You have no conception of the forces you are challenging, Ven snarled. The Dominions might dash. Admiral Rodriguez, Kira called out, perhaps a demonstration is in order. In orbit, the Dominion warship sensors suddenly screamed with warnings. The quantum cloak protecting Earth's true capabilities dissolved, revealing a defense grid that should have been impossible for a primitive world to create. Massive shield generators on the moon snapped to life, projecting an energy barrier around Earth that made the Dominion's best shields look primitive in comparison. Hidden weapon platforms emerged from camouflaged positions across the solar system, their targeting systems locked on every Dominion vessel. But the real shock came from beneath the Antarctic ice. A vast complex, hidden from even orbital scans, rose to the surface. Its architecture was unmistakable to any spacefaring species, precursor design, preserved and improved upon by their chosen inheritors. Impossible, one of Ven's officers whispered. The energy readings, they're using antimatter cascade reactors. That's precursor technology. In a hidden chamber beneath Geneva, General Volkov gave the order. A single quantum torpedo, a weapon whose very existence the Dominion had thought impossible, streaked from a lunar launch platform. It passed effortlessly through the shields of Ven's flagship in orbit, detonating meters from the hull. The explosion was precisely calculated, devastating enough to cripple the vessel's primary systems, but not enough to destroy it. The assembly hall's screens showed the Dominion crew evacuating to secondary command centers as their mighty warship's power grid collapsed. Ven's scales had turned almost translucent with shock. That was one torpedo, from one weapons platform, Kira stated calmly. We have thousands. The precursors didn't vanish, High Chancellor. They chose humanity as their successors, hid their greatest achievements on our seemingly primitive world, and spent decades teaching us how to use them. Around the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet emerged from quantum cloak. Ships of precursor design, crewed by humans trained in technologies the Dominion had thought lost to time, took up attack positions around the Dominion fleet. We know everything about you, Kira continued. Your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses. The precursors showed us how the Dominion rose to power by stealing and perverted their technology. They chose us to end your reign of conquest. Admiral Rodriguez's voice echoed through the chamber, all Dominion vessels are targeted. Quantum torpedoes locked. Shield frequencies neutralized. They have nowhere to run. Ven's translator struggled to keep up with his rapid speech as he barked orders to his fleet. But it was too late. The trap had sprung perfectly, and the hunters had become the hunted. Your choice is simple, Kira declared. Withdraw now, acknowledge our terms, and live to warn others that Earth is not to be trifled with. Or test our resolve and learn firsthand why the precursors chose humanity as their heirs. The assembly hall fell silent as Ven faced the most humiliating moment in his long career. Around him, the holographic displays showed more of Earth's true capabilities, quantum shield networks, antimatter production facilities, ships that could outmaneuver and outgun anything in the Dominion fleet. The mighty Dominion, terror of 1,000 worlds, had walked straight into humanity's trap. And now they had to choose, retreat in shame, or die in glory. High Chancellor Ven's response came not in words but in action. His personal shield flared to life as he barked a command in the Dominion's battle language. His guards raised their weapons, but before they could fire, they found themselves frozen in quantum stasis fields, their supposedly advanced technology rendered useless by precursor countermeasures. All ships, execute battle pattern Dominion Prime. Ven screamed into his communicator. Crush these upstart primitives. Director Patel's expression remained calm as she touched her neural implant. So be it. Admiral Rodriguez, you have weapons free. Show them why the precursors chose humanity. The battle for the Sol system began with a flash of light that outshone the sun. The Dominion fleet, thinking they were launching a surprise attack, fired their main weapons at Earth's major cities. But their energy beams splashed harmlessly against quantum shields that operated on principles their scientists had never imagined. Status report, Kira commanded, now stationed in the Antarctic Command Center. Dominion fleet forming into hammer and anvil configuration, General Volkov reported. Exactly as predicted. They haven't deviated from their standard tactics in 10,000 years. Around the solar system, humanity's trap unleashed its full fury. Quantum torpedo platforms hidden in Mars moons opened fire, their weapons bypassing Dominion shields as if they didn't exist. Antimatter pulse cannons concealed within the asteroid belt unleashed devastation that turned mighty Dominion warships into expanding clouds of plasma. The Dominion's response was predictable. They launched their fighter screens, thousands of small craft pouring from their carrier vessels. These fighters were feared throughout the galaxy, their pilots legendary for their skill and ferocity. Activate the Hydra network, Admiral Rodriguez ordered. Across the solar system, quantum AI systems took control of Earth's automated defense grid. Millions of microdrones, each carrying a miniaturized version of precursor weapons technology, swarmed from hidden bases. The Dominion fighters found themselves engaged by opponents that could predict their every move, their tactics analyzed and countered by computational systems generations ahead of their own. In orbit above Mars, the Dominion's largest battleship, the Pride of Conquest, prepared to unleash its planet-killer weapon. The massive energy beam, capable of cracking a world's crust, began to power up. Not today, General Volkov murmured. At her command, a hidden facility in Mars Valles Marineris revealed itself. A quantum singularity projector, a weapon the Dominion had thought existed only in legends, fired a precise burst. Space itself twisted around the Pride of Conquest, and when it untwisted, the mighty vessel had been torn apart from the inside out. High Chancellor Venn, watching from his frozen position in the assembly hall, saw his mighty fleet being systematically dismantled. Humanity wasn't just winning, they were doing it with a precision and efficiency that spoke of long preparation and complete understanding of Dominion capabilities. 80% of enemy fighters neutralized, reported the HYDRA network's primary AI. Remaining Dominion capital ships are attempting to retreat, but quantum inhibitor fields are preventing FTL jumps. In the space around Neptune, the last phase of humanity's trap activated. Quantum gates, technology the Dominion had sought unsuccessfully for millennia, opened around the remaining Dominion ships. Through these artificial wormholes came humanity's own fleet, vessels that combined precursor design with human innovation, crewed by warriors who had trained their entire lives for this moment. This is Fleet Admiral Rashid of the Earth Defense Force, a new voice announced on all frequencies. Dominion vessels, you are surrounded. Your shields are failing. Your weapons are ineffective. Your tactics are known. Surrender, or be destroyed. The battle that followed was brief but spectacular. Dominion ships, trying to break free of the quantum inhibitor fields, found themselves engaged from all sides by vessels that seemed to ignore the laws of physics as the Dominion understood them. Human ships phased through solid matter, appeared simultaneously in multiple locations, and fired weapons that transformed the very fabric of space into a weapon. Enemy fleet at 20% strength, General Volkov reported. They're breaking formation, all coordination lost. Director Patel nodded. Send the final message. Throughout the solar system, every surviving Dominion vessel received the same transmission, a complete technical analysis of their ship's weaknesses, tactical breakdowns of their battle strategies, and detailed schematics of human weapons capabilities. The message was clear: humanity hadn't just defeated them, they had understood them completely. This is your final warning, Kira's voice echoed through every Dominion command center. Surrender now, and you will be allowed to return to your territory with knowledge of your defeat. Resist further, and the Dominion will lose more than just this battle. Watching his mighty fleet reduced to scattered, burning wreckage, High Chancellor Ven finally understood. The Dominion hadn't found another primitive world to conquer. They had stumbled into the fortress of the Precursor's chosen successors, a civilization that had spent a century preparing specifically for this moment. The battle for Sol was over. And with it, the Dominion's aura of invincibility had been shattered forever. The quantum communications network lit up with activity 3 weeks after the Battle of Sol. Director Patel stood in the Antarctic Command Center, watching as signals poured in from across Dominion space. The spark of rebellion that Earth had ignited was becoming a firestorm. Another transmission from the Centauri Resistance, General Volkov reported. 3 more systems have overthrown their Dominion governors. They're requesting the shield frequency data we promised. Kira nodded, authorizing the transfer. The technical specifications for basic quantum shielding, carefully modified to be buildable with commonly available materials, streamed across space through channels the Dominion couldn't detect or block. The Dominion's response, she asked. Admiral Rodriguez's hologram appeared, his expression grim but satisfied. Exactly as predicted. They're withdrawing forces from their outer territories, trying to fortify their core worlds. Every ship they move creates another opportunity for rebellion. The strategic display showed the status of the Dominion's 1,000-year empire. Red markers indicated systems in open revolt. Yellow showed worlds secretly preparing to rebel. Green represented worlds still under firm Dominion control. The red was spreading like a virus. Update from our infiltration teams, General Volkov announced. The Dominion's High Council is in chaos. 3 factions have emerged, those who want to crush the rebellions with overwhelming force, those who advocate for reform to prevent further uprisings, and those who simply want to consolidate and defend what they can hold. In the months following Earth's victory, humanity had executed the next phase of their long-prepared plan. Small teams equipped with precursor stealth technology had slipped into Dominion space, making contact with resistance movements that had existed for centuries. These groups now received carefully measured support, defensive technologies, tactical information, and most importantly, hope. Message from Fleet Admiral Rashid, a quantum AI reported. The Liberation Fleet has successfully established the safe corridor from the Orion Arm to Earth. Refugee ships from 7 systems are en route, carrying resistance leaders and their families. This too had been part of the plan. Earth wasn't just becoming a symbol of resistance, it was establishing itself as a sanctuary and training ground for those who would carry the revolution forward. In her private office later that day, Kira reviewed footage from across Dominion space. The impact of Earth's victory had been more profound than even their most optimistic projections. The Dominion's careful image of invincibility had been shattered, and with it, the fear that had kept their empire intact. A hologram materialized, Admiral Rodriguez, looking troubled. Director, we've intercepted communications from the hardliner faction. They're gathering a fleet, larger than anything we've ever seen. Nearly half their remaining capital ships. Let me guess, Kira replied, they plan to make an example of Earth. Show the galaxy that resistance is still futile. Yes. But there's something else. Rodriguez's image flickered as he transmitted new data. They're desperate enough to use prohibited weapons. Planet killers. Stellar disruptors. Kira smiled slightly. They still don't understand. The precursors didn't just give us their technology. They gave us their knowledge of everything the Dominion might try. She authorized a new series of commands. Activate Phase Omega. Throughout the solar system, massive structures that had remained hidden even after the revelation of Earth's true power began to emerge. Around the Sun, a vast network of quantum matrices activated, establishing control over local spacetime itself. Similar networks appeared around every major planet. The precursors built these matrices 10,000 years ago, Kira explained. Humanity has spent the last century learning to use them, improving them. If the Dominion launches their attack, they'll find that their prohibited weapons simply don't work in Sol-controlled space. But the true power of Earth's position was not in its defensive capabilities. As the weeks passed, more and more worlds rose against their oppressors. Earth provided each resistance movement with exactly what they needed, never enough to make them dependent, but sufficient to give them a fighting chance. The Dominion, which had maintained control through overwhelming technological superiority, found itself fighting enemies armed with countermeasures specifically designed to neutralize their advantages. Every victory Earth had achieved was carefully documented and the tactical data shared with resistance movements. Every weakness in Dominion technology was exposed and exploited. 6 months after the Battle of Sol, Director Patel stood before the United Earth Council to deliver her assessment. The Dominion's empire is fracturing, she reported. 30% of their systems are in open rebellion. Another 40% are experiencing serious unrest. Their economy is strained by the cost of trying to maintain control. Their military is stretched thin. She paused, looking at the assembled leaders of humanity. But our greatest victory isn't military or technological. The precursors chose us because they saw something in humanity that the Dominion had lost, the ability to evolve, to innovate, to question. We haven't just shown the galaxy that the Dominion can be beaten. We've shown them a different way to exist. As if to emphasize her point, a new quantum transmission arrived. The Dominion's reformist faction had gained control of their council. They were requesting negotiations, not with their rebel worlds, but with Earth. They want us to help broker a peaceful transition, General Volkov reported, her voice carrying a note of triumph. The empire that came to conquer us now asks for our guidance. The irony was not lost on anyone present. Earth, the supposedly primitive world, was now positioned to reshape the political structure of half the galaxy. The precursors' last and greatest experiment